Alright, we are back here, Rich Johnson Models and stuff, working on the Tongde M113. So I went for a drive today out in the field, and the tracks are at the factory tension, which, as you can see, if they're tight on the bottom, they are too loose on the top, and they are rubbing the top of the tires. So the teeth on the tracks were pulling the tires off the wheels. So they need to get tightened up. So Tongde, unlike Henglong used to do, now that everybody's got these adjustable idlers. So you have to unscrew the idler wheel and take it off, and there is the adjustable idler. So you can't do it while the wheel is on, unfortunately. And when you go inside and look, there is the opposite. Let's see if I can get a good angle of this. There is the opposite side idler adjuster nut. So you can see that nut is tight up against the back wall, and that's what's holding that nut from spinning. So it's not glued, it's not stuck down, it just is held by that. So we unscrew this, lift it up, give it a little more tension, we'll try right there, and then we'll move forward. So easy as that. Anyway, wasn't real thrilled with my driving today. It was hot. I forgot to screw the top of the tank back together because I'd taken it apart for all the photos. And I realized the tracks were just too loose. I was like, yeah, I'm done. So I had like 10 minutes in the field. So let's see. Yeah, I went a little too far with the tension. Not enough track there. Okay, so I'm going to have to loosen that back up, move it over a notch or two. This is going to be the trouble of finding the right spot, the sweet spot, so to say, for your track tension. Because you're going to have to put it back together, not just move it. Anyway, things are looking up. These things are really cool. I'm working out a deal with the factory rep to import them. And I just dropped it. I got to go. Here we are back doing the other side, and one note, got your metal idler screw, need a little bit of grease on it. I have a little tube of Tamiya ceramic grease here left over from various Tamiya tanks. Any grease will work. Hell, you can just use axle grease, that works just fine. Another thing I want to say, on both sides there are these two screws which hold the lower part of the transmission in place on each side. Those screws were not screwed in all the way on both sides, and the tracks were hitting them. So you have to put a Phillips on there and tighten those two screws up until they're flat against the bulkhead of the armored personnel carrier. Okay, so you can see I've got it back on its wheels here. Still have the top loose, and I've got idler tightened up. On both sides, I have the idler arm straight down. I'm not saying that that will be exact for yours, but probably all of them, first from the factory, will probably have to be adjusted. So you can see the track is still a little loose. It's hanging just above, and it is sitting just above the wheel there, and the teeth run in the groove of the tire. Real M113s have slacked track. It is not tight. And realistically, with this metal track, I don't think you're going to get it that tight without putting a lot of tension on it and possibly breaking something. So I wouldn't recommend it. Just want to get it tight enough that you take the slack out and have it where it's just a little springy. See that? See when I do that, it bounces a little bit? That's right about where it should be. Comparing against photos of real ones and against the 3D printed one that I got from DKL MRC. And, you know, they always make top quality stuff, and they have some beautiful 3D printed track, which I would love to see if it would run on this thing, because it really is nice, durable 3D printed black plastic track. But Tongde is probably going to have some nice durable black track as well, because their M60 track is excellent, and I run plastic track on all of my metal edition M60s. I probably will transfer this thing over to plastic track just because I think the tanks run better with plastic track, and it looks better. It looks more like rubber pads. Metal does not look like rubber pads. Anyway, just working along on the project. So we're still working on this guy. Here's something I added. Now this was what they did in Vietnam. They removed the machine gun, the M60 machine gun from this side, and they put a recoilless rifle. Now this is a recoilless rifle that I have from another kit, but it is 1/16 scale. And it mounts right here on the side. How cool would it be to have this thing traverse and go up and down with 2 servos to be able to use it? And the tank, or I should say the armored personnel carrier, does have a boom which fires the IR out of that bulb. Now that's technically the blackout driving light, but that's where they have the IR. That is going to scatter IR everywhere and kill all the tanks around you, so that's not really a good mounting spot. And you'd probably break that if you tried to remove it from there. You can see there's a little tiny hole right behind it there. You might be able to push it out and pull it out of the wiring harness inside, but it'd be better off probably just unplug it and run a wire up to the inside. Although that is a nice tiny IR bulb. But wouldn't it be cool to put an IR bulb in this thing and have it rotate side to side to shoot at the enemy tanks? I don't know if you could kill a tank with a 106 millimeter recoilless rifle, but you could sure try. Anyway, that would justify the boom, and that would give you the ability to do IR battling. There's something else that's really cool too. Is you got that, and then the machine gun lights up. The plug is right, well, the hatch doesn't stay open now that I have all the guns on it. There you go. It's kind of back heavy because of the wire, the power wire. So you probably need to have a figure sitting there and hold the gun up, otherwise the gun eventually sags down. I haven't painted anything, so you're gonna have to paint the machine gun. If you paint the M2, then it'll cover up the light flash up there. And actually, there's a little tiny hole up there. That's why you're seeing the flash. But anyway, isn't that pretty cool? Just another update on the 113 APC.